Hello and welcome to episode 520 of the Awesome Comics Podcast, the place where the small press makes one hell of a big noise. My name is Vince Hunt, and joining me as always is the artist and creator of the epic webcomic series Vanguard, Dan Butcher.
Hello.
And Tony Esmond, are you real?
Or am I just one of your wet dreams?
Am I? I just want to make everyone needs to be clear about this. I'm not doing Tony's voice. Tony is a person, aren't you?
I'm here. Yeah, genuinely. Some people don't think I exist, do they?
No.
Remember those? Somebody wrote in and said never write anything. That I thought that was just a joke that's been going on for fucking 400 episodes or something.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
No.
Yeah. What kind of joke's that though?
I don't know. I'll tell you who are my heroes, though. Have I told you this before? Who I consider to be the gladiators of the internet.
Wulf. We're not actual gladiators.
It's the people who drive past people who've crashed their car and go, "You can't park there, mate."
Yeah.
I fucking love that so much. I could watch just never-ending videos of people doing that.
Which, if you go on the internet,
go on Instagram and I see some of the comments people have put, like, absolutely savage, and I'm like, these are my people.
Yeah, I know.
These are my people.
yeah. And
You can't park there, mate. And you get people chasing the car because they're so enraged.
and I'm the nice one.
Yeah.
So, welcome to the show, everyone. We are here. We've got a load
He's
of
got
great
his dark
comics.
side.
Doesn't everyone? You know, it's certainly
Got his grimy underbottom.
it's a boner darkly, surely. And maybe you'll hear that phrase again later. But, because we got a whole load of comics and chat for you this week, and some great guests.
Oh, so good, isn't it?
We're gonna get.
I love talking to those
We're gonna get
guys.
stuck straight into this because, you know, I mean, who wants to listen to us waffling all the time when you want to hear about comics that are sort of just taking over right now? Indie comics that are just blowing up. Whether it be something that's got a fantastic printed version, looks great on the shelves, is got an issue 9 of an ongoing about to come out, maybe an Eisner nom as well.
And an Eisner nomination.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love people like this, groups of pals who just have got this one vibe going, and they live it and use it, and it's just fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
And you can just imagine them sitting around thinking up story ideas, can't you?
Yeah.
Oh, this one licks a gnome and starts tripping.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that. You know.
Yeah. But
You're
you
part
know,
of a gang like that, T.
I know. Yeah, you two.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that caught Dan off guard there.
He's blushing.
Yeah. But you know, I think rather than us, should we talk about the Santos Sisters a bit? Shall we?
Oh, please.
Okay, this week we're pleased to be joined by 2/3 of a creative team behind wonderful titles like the Santos Sisters and the brains behind American Nature. These are titles that have been discussed many times on the show, and Tony Esmond's somehow infiltrated one of them as well. Marc and Greg, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Hey guys.
Good to have you guys. Good to have you.
Yeah.
I haven't seen you since Heroes. I'm missing Heroes this year, but I think you're missing Heroes, Greg, as well, aren't you? You were saying?
Yep. I think we did it last year. It was Mark and I last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're not
it's
going.
a really
it's
good show. Good time.
Yeah, it's a good
great
place.
show. I'd like to go again, but maybe next year.
You two have just come off a world tour anyway, haven't you? So it's sort of.
Yeah, we did like a West Coast kind of thing. Seattle, down to Arizona, up to Vegas.
Nice. Good.
I mean, that
All the way
sounds
back up to Chicago.
yeah for like, you know, people in the UK, this tiny little island. That sounds like the most fantastic tour in the world, like just zipping around like that.
Yeah,
That's like us going to the shops. Yeah, it's that sort of thing, isn't it?
right. How long is it from one end to the other, driving wise?
Oh, about
UK.
8 hours or something.
Yeah.
Something stupid like that. Yeah. That's just you getting a loaf of bread, isn't it? You just go out for a loaf of bread. It's 8 hours. Come back again.
There's no
These
big
are
roads. There's no big roads over here. There's always road works everywhere. Anyway, we've already started on the important topics like traffic, which is what this show's all about. But of course, the Santos Sisters has been going from strength to strength since it started, and well deserved. And in fact, there's a new release that, I mean, being print nerds and design nerds like we are on this show, the sort of acetate cover. Tony, you've got a copy of it there.
This was the most exciting thing in the world, isn't it? When I sent it to you, didn't know when I got it, saying this acetate cover. So I think we maybe we're a bit ahead of ourselves there, Vince. Yeah. Did one of you guys want to explain what the Santos Sisters is for those that maybe haven't seen it yet? Who would like to go?
So, Santos Sisters is basically it's kind of like a sitcom in comic form that follows two sisters who are kind of reluctantly superheroes, but it's more so focused on their relationship and, you know, kind of the ins and outs of that and the bickering they do, and just like everyday life stuff they deal with while they again reluctantly have to kind of be forced to be superheroes. So yeah, it's just a funny book in the truest sense of the word, I would say.
Good. Yeah. And then quickly, Greg, we come to you. This is the ACP, so we only ask the important questions on here. If you get to be stuck on a desert island with one of them, Alana or Amber, who do you get stuck on an island with?
I knew this was going to happen. I knew this was going to happen.
Yeah. I've cleaned that question up.
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
Greg?
man. Well, I think I'd have to go with their mother, Madame Sosostris.
Definitely, good man.
Outside.
Good shout.
They could get you off the island, right? Theoretically.
True, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, you know,
Yeah.
you wouldn't be stuck for long.
Yeah. I mean, this is a title.
I can't pick favorites.
Yeah, there's the creator talking.
There's the artist talking, isn't it? If you're having to draw them.
Yeah.
What about you guys?
Oh, it's Amber all the way, man. Me and Dan are massive Amber camp fans, aren't we? So Vince hasn't given it up yet, but we think he is too. Yeah.
I would neither confirm nor deny. Yeah.
So this goes back all the way. Greg, does this go back all the way to high school for you? Am I right in saying that?
Not quite that far. I'd say maybe 15 years ago is when I came up with some. Well, actually, you could say that one or a couple of our characters were designed when I was a teenager. Namely Scope, if you remember from the first issue.
Okay. Yeah.
I think he just froze. That was so intense.
Yeah, I think he's frozen. Yeah.
We lost him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Greg's been drawing forever, obviously, and I think a lot of the genesis of the characters that ended up going into this, especially, you know, like some of the side characters and villains and background characters that you see are just things plucked from his sketchbook.
Right, cool. Yeah, we lost you just for a second there, Greg. But you and Fake, did you go? You've known each other for a long time. It's
we've just slightly touched on this, Tony. That Fake, Greg is from Greg and Fake, and there's some of our listeners who may know that name. Fake is not here, and this is probably furthering the conspiracy that Fake does not exist.
Yeah.
So, you know, how did you all come together for the, you know, from having those ideas and it all coming together as a cohesive unit to create this comic, which is going gangbusters? I mean, issue, what are we, 8, 9? Is that what we're on at the moment?
9's coming out soon.
9, yeah. I mean, that's a feat in itself in the modern indie publishing world. But how did it initially start to turn into this ongoing thing?
Yeah, so Fake and I met in art class in high school. That's how, as far back as we go. And I'd say even back then, Fake had a good managerial spirit, I guess you could say. He was having me do all sorts of projects. He's good with the ideas and stuff like that. So we've been pretty much doing failed art projects ever since then. This is the first one that really kind of took off. But I guess that's how you learn what works and what doesn't, I suppose.
Because you do there's a lot of characters in this. As you go along, you're throwing in so many new characters. And in fact, don't you feature it in one of the early pages in the book, don't you? All these sort of new characters that you're creating. Are they coming from outside of Greg and Fake? Now, I know you have a hand in the writing as well, Mark, don't you?
Yeah, so I mean, some of these like Fake found for some reason he went to like a licensing convention in Las Vegas and found a guy who owned the license to some like 80s action figures that he, just kind of let us use as characters. And Greg, what were those guys? Which issue was that?
It was Captain Steele and Dr. Drake, or Dr. Steele and Captain Drake, I think it was.
Cool.
I think they're actually from the 60s, like the action figures with the, like kung fu grip and chopping action and stuff like that. This guy, he no one was using the property, and he goes around and buys up old properties.
Oh, right. Okay.
Okay.
Because I think from what you're saying, people maybe don't realise of it because it's not massive over here, Archie. But am I right in saying, Greg, that you were going to try out for Archie and decided to do this instead and utilise the practice you'd made to do that on the Santos Sisters?
Yeah, pretty much. That was the idea. I think it kind of goes along with the way I draw anyway, but studying the Archie comics really gave me the structure and how to build up like simple but appealing characters and backgrounds and stuff like that.
It's a nice clean read, isn't it? That's the dynamic of the Archie stuff.
Yeah, and the covers, like for all of the individual issues, immediately give you that sort of that vibe from the way that the masthead is at the top. There's thank God there's speech balloons on the covers. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, there's just a real kind of retro vibe to it.
And then you get the newsprint as well, which adds to that Archie vibe, I guess. Newsprint paper.
Yeah, I just find that a lot of old design principles and stuff have been abandoned and are kind of viewed as old-fashioned, but but really they're readable, they're clean, they're nice to look at. So I don't see any reason not to do that.
I agree, man.
There's a sort of familiarity we have with those sort of classics as well. I mean, they were classics for a reason, those sort of layouts. I mean, there's a reason why so many horror anthologies do that EC, the pictures down the
flying
side,
circle.
the flying circle type thing. Everyone's, going back to that because
it's a shortcut to something, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think the original Archie series, although they did work at a shop called Bumley's, actually had them licking dwarves on stickers that were actually made of LSD. I don't think they've had that yet in Archie. I'm hoping. I'm still living it in hope for that one.
If they did, I've missed that issue.
So you do. We're getting the lawyers involved, Mark. That's what we're doing. Yeah. How did you get involved, Mark? How did you come into the project?
So I've always been into comics. I've been, in some form or other trying to make comics since I was 12 or 13 years old, and just never thought I was good enough at drawing. But then I figured, looks like people just write these, and it seems to take way less work and and practice and figuring out how to draw. That seems like a lifetime commitment. So I just kept trying to, do stuff here and there, and eventually I with a friend of mine named Dave Landsberger, who you may have seen in the credits for Santos. He's been involved all the way up to this, but we started writing a book called Beef Jams, which
you sent through to us. Yeah.
Oh, nice. It's so for any listeners unfamiliar, it was like a book about basketball mascots and their exploits and hijinks that Greg and Fake and I and Dave did maybe like 10, 12 years ago at this point. And basically we put the idea together and then thought of who would be good at conveying this idea. We had a couple people in mind just from artists we'd seen at conventions and stuff, and spending a lot of time at Artist Alley, which is where we initially found Greg and Fake. They were doing at the time, which was like 2011, 2012, these cardboard paintings of just like pop culture characters, but it would be like a like sexy girl with thick thighs with a stormtrooper helmet on, and or stuff like that, and
Right.
they were they were on cardboard, and for some reason these guys were selling them for like $5 a piece. They didn't. It seemed so out of place from anything else in Artist Alley, and the look was so visually unique from anything else that anybody was doing that I think we had really wanted to work with them. And yeah, we just kind of started talking to them about it. They hadn't done anything in comics before. They were just kind of testing the waters with getting their illustration stuff out there in a setting like a comic convention. And yeah, everything kind of just grew from there.
Nice. So how quickly did you get involved with Floating World? So for those who don't know, Floating World are your, I'm going to say distributor. Is that right? Is that the best way of describing them?
Yes, yeah, essentially, Floating Worlds, I mean, they're pretty hands off with anything else we do as far as publishing it. They just are super helpful with getting everything distributed and out there. But in terms of like the printing aspect or anything else, we kind of just deal with that ourselves, which has been just the perfect working relationship for us. But I think I had been pitching some other stuff to Floating World, and then I sent Jason, who runs Floating World. I sent him Santos Sisters, and he's like, "Oh, this one. What can we do here?" And yeah, I think he just immediately connected with it, like a lot of people did when we first put it out. And just to kind of go back to what you guys were saying about the kind of older or maybe design elements that have fallen out of fashion, or not necessarily just design elements, but just like the paper stock, everything that we do. I think that was a big reason for people connecting with it initially, just because as an object, I think it felt like what's people's idea of a comic is too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like looking at it, holding it.
Yeah.
I think you guys were talking about this on last week's episode with I forgot the guy's name, but I really liked
Andy
his barbarian
Cronky,
comic.
yeah.
And Crunky.
Yeah, you guys were talking about like word bubbles on covers,
Yeah.
and how that needs to make a comeback. Just like I think things like that people saw immediately brought them back to their idea of like, hey, this is a comic.
Yeah. Because comics is a language, isn't it? And if the language isn't
Definitely.
used all the time, people forget kind of what it is.
Retrogrades.
They aren't
Yeah.
movie I mean, we do. I mean, we all love a nice cover, but they're not always supposed to be movie posters.
Yeah,
supposed
they're
to be
not. They
comics.
don't
Right.
need to be Alex Ross all the time, do they?
Yeah.
That's the
No.
problem. I'd rather have Al Milgrom than Yeah.
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 That makes
agree.
sense. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think we were able to connect with something like really basic and simple, that that people seemingly had a hunger for.
Yeah. Is what's the community like for you, Greg? I know because I kind of see you guys came along in the comics kayfabe kind of gutter boys, that sort of crew. there seems to be a rejuvenation of, some might call it underground, some might just call it indie, small press stuff. But are you hooked into anyone else in that? I mean, we're going to talk about Nate McDonough later as well. That sort of crew, because I know that was a conscious effort with American Nature, was to get people on board. What do you think?
Yeah, that's definitely the idea with American Nature, is to, allow people to promote their product and foster the community aspect of making comics.
Because I know you're in Mexico, aren't you? So I'm guessing you're slightly out geographically, but are you sort of hooked into that crowd, or?
I mean, mostly just at conventions and stuff.
Right.
My home base has been in Chicago.
Okay.
I don't really have too many like buddies in the industry or whatever, but yeah,
well, you will have soon. Yeah. We'll get onto Fantagraphics in a minute, but I think
Well, I think kind of, I mean, dude, for what Greg does, doesn't leave him a lot of time to socialize, right?
You don't allow him to, in other words.
No, he's chained to a drawing desk in Mexico for most of his time, whereas writing a comic leaves you with all the time in the world.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of the community aspect of it was kind of my department. I've been friends with the Gutter Boys for a long time. I mean, we go back with JB. He was a Chicago guy who we'd see at conventions like years. We'd known from conventions from years and years ago, before anybody even had any podcasts going or anything. But yeah, I mean, I think a large part of the underground community, or however you want to describe it, all of that popping up, I think was, to me, felt like it was through COVID, where people were kind of stuck at home, but everybody was still able to get comics, and everybody was kind of producing more comics and selling them online, and like, people's mailboxes were constantly filled with awesome new stuff. And then
in a time that I could have easily been saving money, I'm just spending it on fucking things that are coming through my door every day. Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
And it definitely helped with being stuck and that whole process. But I noticed a lot of the communities developed through places like Discord, and a lot of people connected that way. And I think that's something that's kind of continued to, in some ways, grow and build since then.
Yeah, definitely. Quickly before we get on to American Nature and the collection, just got questions for you, Greg, artistically. Random off the wall question number one. Did you invent the boozy bees? Was that you?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess you could say. But actually it was it was just a one-off sketch, and a coworker actually said she liked the character, and she said, "Oh, you should give him a girlfriend," because I'd drawn Boozy first. I didn't name him that. It was just like some angry looking bee, kind of Max Watcher. And she says, "Oh, he's so cute. You should call him Boozy Bee and give him a girlfriend."
Oh, nice. Yeah. One of my favorite strips of yours is when they're in the cinema and she catches him looking at the sort of the busty Boozy Bee next to him as well. I like that. That's one of my favorites. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing I was going to ask you about. Sorry, mate, go on.
Oh, I was just saying, we have another Boozy Bee story coming up in issue 9.
Oh, brilliant. Excellent. Good stuff. The other thing I was going to say about influences, I mean, the Archie thing you wear on your sleeve, and it's very clear, but I'm feeling a little bit of the Rob Liefeld in there with some of the characters. I'm feeling a bit of the early Image days. Is that something? Because a couple of your characters kind of look a bit. The costumes occasionally they'll carry big guns and things like that, won't they? Sometimes. Is there a bit of that in there?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, you're right.
Spit and shine.
Man, yeah,
Yep,
Lifeguard's
yep.
had a lot of kind of influence, hasn't he?
Yeah, hasn't he?
I
Yeah.
think
Good or real?
Yeah, that generation of comics, you know, that the Image boom and stuff like that. That is
Yeah, the extreme comics, you know,
Yeah.
cybernetics and
yeah, it's been such an influence, isn't it? I mean, as much as like people will talk about the bad things of the, but that's a whole generation that was influenced by that. I'm certainly like, whenever I see a massive gun, I immediately think, well, that's a classic Image. You know,
Yeah, seemingly we do, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like an easy go-to, isn't
yeah.
it?
And also, it's a gun that looks like it doesn't really work. It's like made out of 3 toasters and something else, and it's got 2 handles. It's not a real gun.
Whenever
Yeah.
I see a metal limb and they do those kind of the lines over it, I don't think Colossus. I think Image Comics.
Yeah.
Or Cable. Yeah, that's
Cable.
Mad
yeah.
Cable. Yeah.
I used to love that
Yeah.
that ribbed cyber arm look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really fun to draw too.
Right.
Just the chromium effects when you
Yeah.
have that banding going like
Yeah.
that. It looks really.
Some of the other characters I wanted to mention as well are probably one of the best names in comics is Weird AI Ankovic. That's a great name.
Yeah.
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 He kind of came along. Well, you can see the life help in that too. He's got
Yeah.
kind of
A little bit of Kirby. I feel a little bit of Kirby there too, somewhere.
Well, I mean, you know, Kirby was a big influence on everybody. So
Yeah.
Sure.
The one that's Craig, the handsome barbarian. He's a good-looking
That's
bastard,
Mark.
isn't he?
That's Mark's invention. I have the original sketch by him somewhere.
I've got that T-shirt. You did a T-shirt of him as well, didn't you? Yeah. How did you come up with
yeah.
How did you come up with that one, Mark?
I think it was just at a convention, and it was Greg and me flying solo again because fake may or may not exist. Yeah, I think we were just sitting there doodling, and I just started drawing just some handsome barbarian guy, and I think Greg started adding.
You both
stuff
started
to it,
taking your clothes off. Is this how the story's going to go? I'm just wanting to be clear about it. It's yeah.
pretty much. Yeah, you nailed it.
Yeah. So I mean that's an interesting point though. I mean, in terms of like what the Santos Sisters is, for listeners and stuff, and how you go about crafting an issue. Like you're sketching, and then a character arrives a couple of months later. They could be in an issue
For Eric Larson, that isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you craft an issue of this? Because it is an ongoing, but do you treat it episodically? You know, for those that haven't read it, is it like, you know, you just got some stories that happen one and done, and then you move on, and then you can throw in whatever you think of at the time? How does it work?
It's a bit of a combo, guys, isn't it? I'm going to say of that.
Well, I mean, like we were saying with the characters, like, you know, ideas are just kind of floating out there, and we try not to overthink things. And, you know,
Yeah, I get you.
and-
But there's,
and-
you do these sort of little stories in each issue, but you have these themes that run through it. Like, who's the geezer who's always working in a shop when they get there? He's at the cinema, isn't he? When they go to the cinema, and I forget his name. Todd. That's it. Yeah. So there's this sort of weird little themes that you have as well.
Yeah, we like tropes, you know.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what I'm trying to come up with. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
You know, we like little things that reoccur.
Like in jokes, almost.
Yeah. I think if you've got
Yeah,
like a trope or like a style, I think we're really at a point with sort of consuming comics that it adds to the charm of it, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's less about, oh, look at that, deconstructing it. It's now like, oh, that's
yeah.
it's something that we welcome.
We don't
now,
need the
that's
serious in our comics
No.
all the time, do we?
No.
That's true. And the other character I like is 8-Ball, because when she takes her mask off, she's still got the arrow going through her head. And when I saw that without a mask on, I was thinking, how did she get that mask back over the arrow? And then I'm thinking, this is a comic. Why am I even considering that?
Yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah.
Favorite of
Yeah,
mine.
exactly. I think there's like a lot of over explanation in comics. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
gotta be scientifically explained. But
Yeah,
the cool
like
thing
the,
about
I always call it the
comics
Hulk's
is,
trousers syndrome, don't we? We just
Oh, yeah.
accept
What's
that they
that?
stretch. The Hulk's trousers syndrome, I like to call it. We just accept that they stretch and turn purple whenever.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no reason for it.
Because
There's no-
whenever anyone tried to do like do you remember, was it Will Sportasio, and they did that Hulk and like all of his clothes sort of ripped off. It just felt wrong. We didn't want to
did.
see, we didn't want to see it.
I was like looking in the changing room and him trying trousers on or something. I didn't like it.
Right,
I guess I'm the only one curious about
Hulk's
well,
dong.
Hulk
Here we go back to Mark's
I mean,
poetry.
there's a certain intrigue, but storytelling wise, and I can send you links. Anyway,
We've opened the door on this. Mark, we've opened the door on Mark's poetry, which I'm going to now talk about. Mark sent me some. How would you call it? Slam poetry? I don't know. It's not haiku, is it? It's.
Oh no, yeah, it's haiku. So
It is
it's
haiku,
structured-
right?
Yeah, 575. And yeah, it's just something I started doing when I was younger, and it kind of it's found its way into the pages of heavy metal somehow.
awesome.
And yeah, they're all just really obscene haiku.
I've been repeating them, sending them back to you this week, haven't I? What's my favorite one? Shit anxiety or something like anxiety shit. It's like
Shart anxiety.
shart anxiety, even better. Yeah.
It's a real problem.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
It is. The older you
I
get,
definitely.
the older you get,
Especially
The
after a few pints of Guinness.
the
Fucking hell, I always
less
worry.
you trust yourself, the older you get. That's what it is.
If you two ever come to England, I'm taking you for a curry, and then you'll certainly have it.
Oh God.
Good.
Yeah, I look forward to my next trip to England. I've been a few times. I've got
Okay.
family in Reading or near
Oh, it's
Reading.
not far from us. Yeah. I'm passing Reading on the M4 tomorrow morning. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Ah, cool.
We're back on
Yes.
traffic
Yes,
again.
I've done some
Back on traffic.
exploring. My first time out there. So I'm Bulgarian, and my cousin he married an English guy and lives out there, and he kind of went through this whole tour of all the sites he thought I should see to get the full experience of England. So he took me to Stratford and Windsor Castle and Stonehenge. And then he's like, "Is there anything you want to do?" And for some reason, me being like a weird 19-year-old, wanted to go to, which was incomprehensible to him, wanted to go to Northampton.
Because of Alan Moore.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. My big goal was like maybe this crazy wizard I'll bump into this crazy wizard and he'll smoke the biggest joint in the world with me or something. Which didn't happen, but I think from Reading to Northampton's like a 2-hour drive, which by English standards is really
It's like
far.
going to France.
Yeah. So I think he was pretty annoyed about having to drive me up there and couldn't figure out why we were in Northampton.
Hasn't Alan Moore got some theory about it being the centre of ley lines or something like that, or exactly in the middle of Great Britain? Some theory, fucking only knows. A snake lives in his toilet, so I don't know what he's talking about.
Based on my time there, I'm not sure where he gets all this, but
Have you read that a million word book of his or something? I ain't got time in my life for that.
no, I couldn't really. I mean, I'm a huge Alan Moore fan, but couldn't really get into his prose.
Yeah. We almost got him on. We got like a mutual friend, but I think it was when he was stepping away from comics. We'd still love to have you on, Alan, if you're listening, which I'm sure you're not.
Oh yeah, Alan listens every week.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah. Next time, if you two venture over for a Thought Bubble or an MCM, they're the main two ones over here. Then we'll definitely get your Ruby Murray.
Guests.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah.
I mean, we definitely love to, and we'd love to, get out to. There's like a lot of European shows that seem.
Oh, you gotta go to Angoulême. You gotta go there. It's the best thing ever. Yeah.
That seems like it's something you have to experience at least once, and I haven't been to the show itself, but I've been to Lucca.
Oh, yeah.
I love that. I
I've
love
been
the
there,
city, so I really would like to check out the.
I did it. I did it about 10 years ago. I think from footfall, it's bigger than Angoulême at the moment. I heard someone say recently.
Wow.
But it's fucking unbelievable. It's in the night. You'll come away carrying about another fucking 4 stone on you from just the food. You know, it's like 85 pounds of more pasta on you. But it's a beautiful place. It really is. Yeah. We're getting on. There we go. Like a travel show, aren't we? But so the other thing I want to get onto is how this came about. How the Fantagraphics deal came about. What happened there? Because I mean, Fantagraphics is the dream, isn't it? It's what a lot of us we see as the sort of the top of the pyramid for the work we do. How did that come about?
Well, I mean, definitely there's a certain level of like prestige with what they do based on everything they've published in their history. I mean, as far as it's hard to call it small press comics, but I think it's definitely the top of the mountain in terms of indie small press, or maybe we can call it like literary comics or whatever. I don't know what's a fair way to describe it, but it was definitely something that was on our radar and a hope for us. And I think Fake just kind of was trying to sell ad space to
you guys are always on the ad space hustle, aren't you? Always. Yeah,
and it leads you to interesting places. I think we were trying to sell them ad space, and that kind of started the conversation of them being like, oh well, we like what you do, and one thing led to another, and once we kind of had enough material put together, they expressed a willingness to put it out, and we were lucky to work with them just because, I mean, looking at the object that they put together just clearly tells you why they're at the top of the hill in terms of putting out comics. So it's just beautiful.
I noticed, maybe you could talk to this, Greg, a bit, I noticed they've recolored some of the work as well. Is that right? Or they've, not all of it, some of it they've pulled some color up and changed it slightly?
Actually, no.
No, okay.
The difference is solely due to the printing.
Okay, right.
Yeah. Well, the paper and the printing. Yeah. No, it looks amazing. It looks better than the floppies, but the files were the same.
Okay, real.
Okay.
Yeah. Is there gonna be a volume 2? Do we know yet, or can we announce yet? Or
they're down for it. And yeah, we're gonna try and do that. We'll be at issue 10 in the winter, so if we do that, we'll be moving on it pretty soon.
Oh, nice, cool. I noticed they put a big 1 at the top of there. It's a little hint, isn't it? Yeah, you must have been pleased when that was on there.
Yeah.
We kind of insisted on that as a little hint.
Brilliant. And then the other. Sorry, go on.
Well, I was just going to say the future for the Santos Sisters before we move on to American Nature and such. Obviously, you've got these volumes, and you like to do volume 2. It sounds like a stupid question to ask, but how far do you see this thing going? Because it's quarterly, is that right? That's what we're currently working on at the moment.
Very close to it.
Close to it.
More of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think from kind of how we're feeling about it, we could go on indefinitely, until we don't feel like we're doing, we'll keep doing it as long as we're enjoying it. I think is kind of the thing. And or until people don't want to read it anymore, one of the two.
I mean, there's lots of creators who are still making comics that no one wants to read, and they're still making.
Look at Marvel.
So don't worry about that.
The X-Office is full of that.
Yeah, hopefully we can eventually pass it on to, build it like the Archie and just have a whole house doing it, different art.
Wow, there's the dream.
You can sit in Playboy Mansion, then, can't you? Yeah. It's just. Have you been approached for any more crossovers? Because I was looking at just about an hour before we started recording, I was looking at the X-Men versus Godzilla, and I thought we need a Santos Sisters versus Godzilla comic. That's got to be in the workings.
That would be good.
Yeah. Have you been approached by anyone, or is there anyone you would ideally like to pitch to?
I think. Question.
Oh no, go ahead, Greg.
Well, I mean, I can't think of any off the top of my head, but we've got
Because you've got
like a
the
couple.
Halloween special, haven't you? With
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if we have anything else in mind.
How does that work?
Nothing
guess-
currently planned. I think I think you think I can talk about that thing that Chris had with the that singer girl?
oh
Singer girl.
So I
I
think
don't know.
oh, this is the
think-
Taylor Swift crossover. We know about that one, Mark.
yeah.
That's fucking everyone knows about that.
I think there was almost a JoJo Siwa Santos Sisters crossover for some reason. All stemming from that same marketing
The licensing
convention,
expo.
the licensing expo.
Yeah, I think Fake met her manager or something like that.
Yeah.
Um,
See, to me, the Santos Sisters is the ideal comic to put on a tour bus for I don't know who the kids listen to these days, but you know, a load of stoned musicians are gonna fucking find it hilarious. And you know, you can see them going, well, why don't we do it? You know, we could. It's like, do you remember when Kiss appeared in comics and stuff like that? It's a bit like that for me.
Yeah.
Like, this would be the
I can see
perfect
them appearing in
landing
this.
spot.
I can see them appearing in this.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gene Simmons loves a
that's one
payday.
thing I'd really like to do that as opposed to like superheroes or their comic characters, like
Yeah.
you know, like the old comics where like Bob Hope would show up.
Yeah.
or, you know,
Yeah.
stuff like that. Like,
I mean, Jim
Okay.
Carrey in this
Yeah.
would be good.
Okay.
Yeah,
On
I
the
can see- yeah.
on the spot then, right? Who would, with that thinking in mind, who would you pick for a guest spot in a future issue?
are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
anyone,
sorry. Yeah. I'm
anyone,
sorry.
anyone.
And Mark.
Yeah,
both of you.
yeah.
Oh
That is
man,
a good one, isn't it?
There's limitless potential here.
Tucker Carlson. There you go. That's what I'm throwing out. I'm saying Tucker Carlson meets the Santos Sisters. That would be fucking the epitome of brilliant, I think.
Yeah, I think yeah.
Yeah.
We could make that work as long as it was like bow tie era Tucker Carlson.
Oh, imagine, yeah. Brothers of Islam kind of looking.
My God.
Yeah.
My God. I don't know why. I know he's no longer with us. I suddenly thought Dennis Hopper would be fucking brilliant.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I think he would get along with the Santos Sisters pretty well. He could be like a insane father figure for an issue.
Fritz the cat with the boozy bees. I'd like Fritz the cat with the boozy bees, and you could proper go full on with that, couldn't you? Yeah.
I'm sure we can get a holocron.
He's selling another biography. You'll be fine. Give him a bell. I don't think he's allowed at SPX though, so be careful.
Oh, is he banned or something?
I think on comic books are burning in hell or something. I think the bloke who wrote the book said he asked to go to SPX and they said no, thank you. I think it's the official.
Oh,
yeah.
Huh, that's a interesting stance for them to take.
Are you guys doing SPX or are you doing it? It's coming up in September.
We've always wanted to, but it's not, and I don't think we have anything scheduled for the rest of the year aside from. I mean, we'll be in San Diego, but any other cons or anything like that, I think are gonna probably have to wait till like next year. But there's definitely like well, personally, I've always wanted to do TCAF, which I know just happened. That seems like a fantastic show. We've never done SBX, which it does seem like something worth doing. And yeah, I mean, there's plenty of like small press shows that I think that's kind of been it's been kind of a little easier for us to do those than the big shows, just because it's easier to get out to, and but our schedule's pretty clear for the rest of the year, and we'll probably plan on doing more next year, especially after the big tour this year. I think that kind of exhausted our travel.
Oh yeah, you had a big one, didn't you? That was a big old. Was it like 20 venues or something? Wasn't it, or something like that? Or...
Yeah, I think it was something near that. And I mean, I was only around for part of it. Greg and Fake did the entire thing. Josh Pettinger was there for a chunk of it. and yeah, I mean that was a massive tour. It was like a whole month of just like travel and or maybe even more than
So that was.
that.
I mean, I know you're a big organizer, Mark, aren't you? Do you have to get the strippers on the tour bus and that sort of thing for the boys, or yeah, yeah.
Well, I think it was I only flew in for parts. I think they were in a minivan, which I don't think leaves a lot of room for strippers or anything like that.
Once you've watched your mate have sex once, it's fine after that. I'll tell you that now.
God.
That's how we run it on this show. I've seen Vince's hairy ass. I just need it. Just once is enough.
What
You
the
know,
fuck? Why did you
I'm not
drag me into
fascinated.
this?
I'm not fascinated by it anymore. You know.
You want it.
He's ashamed of himself now. Look on camera, you can see him. The is there any sort of artists you perhaps? I was thinking about this the other day with you guys. Do you remember when Spawn had Dave Sim in to do Cerebus?
God,
Do you remember they drew on
Yeah.
the same page? Do you remember that?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Is that something you'd go for, Greg? Is there anyone you'd want in? Would you Durf or someone like that who could do a style that would just not work but work almost?
Well, probably Dave Sim, I would assume in Greg's case.
Well, we obviously love him because he named us, didn't he, on his podcast, which I've got the clipped audio in the corner of my desktop here. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that'd be
I kind of think
Okay.
Cerebus would fit, wouldn't he? He would fit in your world.
yeah. He's cartoony enough where it wouldn't clash too much. I mean, the one in Spawn even worked, even though
Yeah.
I guess you could say they clashed. Cartoons and realistic stuff always go together. Just like
That's
Mary
true.
Poppins or something.
Yeah.
Probably something kind of cartoony would be what I would go for, though.
I was thinking Bone
Oh, yeah.
would be good.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, graphically, I like Bone. I've never read it. He's he'd kind of get beat up in the Santos Sisters world. I think
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
kind of he's a nice kind of guy, right?
He'd have his innocence stolen, wouldn't he? Down the drive-in or something like that, I suspect.
You can get along with Todd.
Yeah, that's true. They'd be all right, wouldn't they? Can work somewhere. Ice cream van or something. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, be
Stick
nice.
him with Todd.
So we got the two other big subjects we got to cover is one, the Eisner nomination. So how does it work with that? Do they let you know? Well, I know they do, but do they let you know before it gets announced or anything like that?
They let us know as soon as the check clears.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got notified maybe like a week before, just for them to confirm that everything in the listing is properly credited and spelled and everything.
Okay. Yeah, I can see why that would be important. Yeah. Did it come as a surprise, or
To some degree, or parts of it did. So we were aware that one of the judges for the one of the 5 jury members was actually like a really big fan of the book, and the Eisner nominations are all things that are submitted by publishers or whoever. So I submitted on behalf of Floating World, I submitted the book. So I knew it'd be in contention, but we kind of had an idea that somebody there really liked us, and I guess the only surprise was that he was able to convince the other 4 people that we were worthy of consideration as well. And I think the real surprising aspect of it is just the category that we're in. So I would have thought, if we are nominated for anything, it would be maybe best humor publication, something like that. So it was really surprising just to be amongst a bunch of mainstream books in a category like best ongoing, which, I think we really stand out there.
Yeah, I think you do. And fingers crossed for you. I think I think when people are, there is a little downturn and people being a little bit sick of the mainstream at the moment. And your book is the sort of thing that we need now. I'm like, fingers crossed, touch wood. I think you're in. I think you're in with a shout, man. Yeah, yeah.
Well, I mean, I was pretty happy looking over all the nominations to see just the variety of stuff that was nominated. I think it was a really good representation of all sorts of corners and facets of the comic industry. And honestly, I kind of for a couple of years really fell off with mainstream books, and I think this is maybe like the last year and a half. There's been a bunch of stuff that I've been getting really into, and that stuff's amongst what's nominated too. So I think just all around, it's as reflected in those nominations. It's a really good time.
That's good to know. Yeah, that's good to know, because we're always a little bit critical of it, aren't we? Or any awards, aren't we? As being a little too niche, a little more directed towards a certain area of comics. It is just a medium after all, but I'm glad that it's doing that. When results
are always the lists, there's always going to be that. Oh, I don't think they've got it instead of that person. There's always
it's like the Oscars, isn't it? It's same in it. Yeah. Good. Well, fingers crossed, guys. We've been voting for you.
Thank you.
And the last one is American Nature, which yes, I've got my note here. I know my deadline. I've still got a few more weeks, Mark. But how did that come? How did that come about? So for the people that don't know, it's a mixture of sort of articles and comic strips, and you always get like a guest in to do the cover. Is that right?
Well, so we always try to get a character on the cover to interact with the Santos Sisters. So in the first issue, we had Josh Pettinger's Tedward.
Yeah.
And then in the second issue, we had Nick Pitara's Axe Wielder John.
Love Nick. Love Nick. He's been on the show. Lovely guy.
Yeah. He's great. We've known him forever as well, from tabling and stuff. And in the third issue, we've got another old friend, Farrell Dalrymple's Robot Todd.
Oh, nice.
And this issue will be featuring an interview with Farrell. I think it's a double-sized issue, so there'll be tons of content. Basically, the impetus for the whole thing was just to kind of provide a maybe more cohesive space where different corners of comics could converge.
Right.
So we want somewhere where like different podcasters or comics journalists can kind of get their ideas out there, show you their side of the spectrum, and also hopefully kind of showcase what they do. So we want people with diverse interests to kind of find this thing and find something new within it.
I mean, you've got it right there on the cover, haven't you? I mean, it says at the bottom, like, creation, education, celebration. Do you know what I mean?
That's nice. I like that.
That's the three.
Yeah.
It covers everything then, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
You've got something for everyone, which is great.
Hopefully.
Have you drawn for it, Greg? Have you got some art coming in that one?
In the next one, I think so. Don't know what yet, but
cool.
I think
there'll be a few comics. I think Ethan Llewellyn, if you guys are familiar.
Yeah, we know him very well. We've reviewed his books here.
Yeah. I'm a huge fan of his work, and he'll be doing 2 pages. I forget who else. There's a few more people doing short comics.
Everett Glenn.
Oh yeah, how can I forget?
Cool.
I must say,
E.S. Glenn. He did Unsmooth, I think, was the title of the book.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan of Nick Pyle's vid screen from issue 2. That's
nice.
We're gonna have another one of those. We were talking earlier about like guys I'm buddies with. He's from Chicago, and
right,
and he's a buddy of mine.
The way that the pacing of that and the way that the joke pays off is perfection. Absolute perfection.
Oh, cool. That's cool. You like that? Yeah, he's gonna do another installment of the vid screen there.
Nice.
It's always nice to see Josh Pettinger as well, because he's from the UK. He's from a place called the Isle of Wight. I was chatting to him about a year or so ago and talking about the Isle of Wight, and I said I once went to the Isle of Wight and didn't see two women fighting. It's that sort of place. So it's probably been quite wise and moved to America. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's moved on up from from what he's described to us. Yeah, Josh is a character.
Yeah, he certainly is.
Yeah, he's a good guy. A proper bloke.
Proper geezer. So you're looking at the end of the year, are you, for that, Mark? Is that sort of roughly?
So I think the release date is towards the end of September.
Oh wow, okay. Yeah, cool. Is that like a yearly thing? I'm going to say, is it yearly? Seems to be a bit more.
I think we try to do 2 or 3 a year, depending on kind of how things shape up. And yeah, we were kind of planning our output for next year, and kind of it's up in the air as to we were thinking of potentially doing maybe like thicker issues, like more content per issue, and doing less releases, or doing kind of the same thing where we put out like maybe 3 Santos Sisters and 2 American Nature,
because it's a lot of work and a different kind of work, isn't it? Because whereas with the Santos, you know, after all these issues, you're getting into the rhythm and the structure of how the work flow is.
Yeah, there's a lot of cats to chase.
But there is
American
Nature. Deadlines, and you're chasing up other people for either their comics or their articles or anything else like that. That must be a learning.
We've been lucky though with just working with people who are invested to the point that we don't have to really chase anybody. I think people were really kind of happy to do the work because the content of it was something that we kind of left up to them. So it was things that they were passionate about. So yeah, it's it hasn't really been difficult.
And the aforementioned Dave Sim is in issue 1 as well.
Yeah.
How cool was that?
Super cool.
Yeah.
I had the, we sent him a pile of comics and he just did that pen up like on his own volition, and
right.
He didn't send any correspondence to us. He just posted it on his blog. He's like,
oh wow,
oh, you really like the comics, and here's this pinup I did for them. And actually, fax had a fax correspondence with him for a couple of weeks because he doesn't use the internet, and that's the way to get a hold of him is through the fax machine.
So brilliant. I love it.
Yeah.
I've got to get a fax now, guys.
So there's plenty more to come.
What's that, Greg? Sorry.
Well, you can send faxes to the computer. You don't actually need a fax machine.
Oh, right. Okay. Now you've ruined it.
But Tony's got to figure that out, and that's a whole thing to figure out how to do that.
It's more authentic when you do the tactile process of putting the paper into the machine and listen to it, make the dial-up tone or whatever.
Yeah.
There's that old story, isn't there, with was it Alan Moore and Eddie Campbell, where Alan Moore had a moment where he thought, I've fucked up something in the script, so he typed a page and put it on the back seat of a taxi and paid for the taxi to go to Eddie Campbell's house.
That's pretty good. That's not a very wizard thing to do.
It's not, is it? Yeah. Put it on a fucking eagle or something, couldn't he?
Yeah. Reach out through the astral realm.
Yeah. So obviously we are in summer now. What is the rest of the year looking like for Santos and American Nature and you guys? What's the future hold?
Well, we just wrapped up issue 9. That's at the printers right now.
Bro.
And then like Mark was saying, American Nature 3 is coming up next, and then Santos Sisters number 10 will be in December, I think.
I believe so.
Nice Christmas themed cover, or it's got to be in it. It's got to be. Come on.
I don't think
love
it's
to
been
do
drawn
that.
yet. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Write that down.
I'll send you my Venmo. It's fine.
Yeah. Surely
We
they're
do
most
like the
guys.
idea of themed issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that goes back to we were talking about when you were saying like what characters do we want to work with, something we've actually previously talked about was doing like working with
Santa
like
Claus.
tourism boards and things like that to how Dennis the
Right.
Menace would do like Dennis the Menace in Mexico, and it was all sponsored by and paid for by the travel board or the tourism board or agency or whatever there. So I think
I love that
we'd love to
idea.
do stuff like that.
Boise, Idaho. Santos
Oh, yeah.
Sisters.
Yeah. Have you guys, just a quick off the cuff question, have you guys read Viz? Not the manga imprint, but the British
Yes.
comic? You have.
Mhm.
Have you read it, Greg?
No.
Right, and then when I see you guys next time, I'm bringing you collections.
Man,
Oh, I've
That's,
got a
your-
pile of Viz.
Oh, good man, good. Yeah.
Yeah, when I visited England, my cousin's husband, that was amongst the first things he was like, "Oh, you like comics? Here's some Viz." And since then, I found just at like used bookstores here, I found some of the
Oh.
hardback collections. Which,
Yeah, they're great. Dan buys
Yeah.
us that every Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Dan
it's
buys
a
us the
Christmas
Christmas.
gift.
Yeah. Good.
So much easier for me to buy presents for you guys every Christmas.
Yeah, it's the same book every time. So with that in mind, then, where can people go to basically buy all the comics? Of which now it's not just go to a Kickstarter and get the first issue.
Yeah.
You got so many comics that people can like jump in on now, which is amazing. So where if people want to buy like direct from you, or what is the best way that the money goes into your pockets rather than anyone else?
Well, so for the industry to remain robust, I think money directly to us is great, but I always do like to think about the retailers who do a lot of work to promote our book and have to kind of take the risk of having the physical space to do that. So ideally, if you do want our book, go to your local comic shop, ask them to put it on a pull list, and to make sure you actually go pick that pull list up and pay for it.
Yeah.
So that way everybody kind of gets a little piece of the pie. But if a comic shop isn't accessible to you, or for some reason you hate your local comic shop, or whatever the case may be,
There's always a love-hate relationship with
yeah,
the comic shop, isn't there?
Yeah.
there certainly can be. I mean, there's some really amazing ones, and I'm sure there's some that need a little bit of work.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can get the collection at fantagraphics.com. It's available at bookstores too, so that's been a nice thing, kind of having the wider distribution of I don't know what you guys have in the UK, but here we have like Barnes and Noble, and
We have a similar thing.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. I find like especially independent bookstores, there's some real surprises there that you see. Books like the Santos Sisters and stuff will totally be in an independent bookstore over here, which is great.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, it's definitely nice to be in places like that. And then Floating World Comics carries the single issues, so floatingworld.com if you're looking for like the more recent back issues. And then Greg, where can they find shirts and
eBay.
stuff?
eBay.
Yeah, you get some shirts, and we rotate them fairly often at gregandfake.bigcartel.com.
And you've got some original art for sale as well, Greg, as well. And I'm right in saying no.
Yeah, that's correct. If you go to panelpunk.com, there are a broker for those. They've got a bunch of issues in there. Howling Pages still has stuff from issue 1 available.
Oh, okay. There you go. Collectors will be wanting that. Yeah.
So get on board now, listeners, because trust me, like when they're just drowning in Eisners and everything else, and they'll be calling in from their yachts next time.
And strippers.
Yeah, you'll remember where you heard it first. But thanks for joining us, guys. It's been amazing.
Brilliant. Yes, long time coming.
And good luck with
Thank
the
you so
Eisners.
much for having us.
Yeah,
Thanks so
we'll be
much.
watching.
I mean, let's face it, we're going to be responsible for all of their success, aren't we? That's what
That's
it
down
is.
to us now.
They're just going
I do love those guys though. It's so fucking spot on.
They are. They're doing great comics, and they're doing just great work in the name of comics. I mean, the fact that American Nature exists is just fantastic anyway.
Brilliant, yeah.
And I would say if you reach out to Mark online, he'll probably send you some of his slam poetry, his haikus, and you will fucking laugh.
Yeah. I mean, I certainly laughed at some of them. Some of them contain phrases. I'm not always a haiku person, but that poetry contains some phrases that I may use in my daily life going onwards.
I know, me too. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And not just
good.
Not just about homeless boners or something like that. Who knows?
I read that one.
But yeah, thank you to them, and there's plenty of comics left to talk about in the show, isn't there, gents?
There is.
As we currently speak, as always with this UK show, summer has kicked in. The summer of comics, and
hot in it too, hot
because it's summer, and we all record. Not on the ground floor, not in a basement. We're usually like several floors up in ACP Towers, because ACP Towers is quite a tall building, phallic shaped,
very penis-like.
Yeah. All the magic happens at the tip, but we're just below it.
But you need to pay attention to the shaft and balls as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the room we're in,
the real surprise.
The heat rises. The heat rises, and we got a bit of a sweat on. So
and that's why we usually take off all our clothes.
Yeah, so we do. We are absolutely naked right now.
That's an oxymoron, isn't it? You're either naked or you're not.
Yeah.
Well, you could say we're all naked. We're always naked.
Yeah. Was that never naked, never nude, isn't it? What's that from? Never nude.
Never nude.
Arrested Development.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
Which
had walking around with the jean cut-offs.
Which had three seasons of absolute perfection. That show.
Yeah,
I've never watched it. Should I watch it?
Oh, it's brilliant, T. It's so
Should I watch it? Should I? Yeah. I was like that with Sunny in Philadelphia until Matt Arrow told me I got to watch it. Him and Wild Goose made me watch it, and it was good. Yeah.
That David Cross character, Tobias Funke, and he says, I'm going to combine my roles of an analyst and a therapist. And he's put it on the business card, and it's analepist.
Well, do you know he used to share a flat with a certain political agitator in America? Do you know they were flatmates? I'll tell you who it is later.
Okay.
A very notorious person. Yeah, I think changed since he moved out. But if you go to mail.com, it gives you like options to have rather than mail.com, you can have I don't know, builder.com or academic.com, and it has therapist.com on there.
Wow.
You can have an email.
Nice.
Dan Vanguard at the therapist.com.
Someone said I should set up a site called Only Dan's during the week.
You should. But it should be it should be every day there is just a picture of a different Dan. Like they're just like Dans you'd know. Maybe.
There used to be a website that was just Partridge shouting Dan, wasn't there? On a loop. Yeah. It was just that was all that website
well, it's
did.
like that, isn't it that was it a Twitter account it's the weekend, and it's just every Friday they post their clip of Daniel Craig on Saturday Night Live going, ladies and gentlemen, the weekend. And it's just that every Friday. I love stuff like that. But also, I'd never do it. I've never got the fucking...
We could automate it, but...
There's always those.
I have to automate it for 6 years, otherwise I'm going to forget after the fourth week.
Give up. There's always get those, it's been so many days since somebody did something stupid. It's usually like Trump or Breathe or DC Comics or something, isn't it? It's like that sort of thing. Yeah. Good.
Yes. So from some revelations about what it's like here,
not biblical,
in the ACP. This show is always biblical in its epic
in proportions.
Scale, and therefore, have we got any shout outs, gents?
Yes, I have a raft again. So now,
what about the shout outs?
A raft in my garden. To escape on. So now live on Kickstarter is Galaxy Grappling Alliance Issue 3, Galactic Rumble from ArtNineTwo. I think last week I said watch out for it, and it got launched on the 13th. It's made its money, but you need to get on this. It's really great art. Damon and Helena, fucking brilliant. Don't sit on the fence on it. I'm going to have a look at it. I think if you go to their Instagram, they've started putting some of the cover stuff they're going to give out as stretch goals and stuff. Spaceboy and the Future King, Issue 2 is now available on Kickstarter as well. Some lovely British settings for this. I love a comic that shows what we have in our green and pleasant land.
Totally, man. Yeah.
And Rory knows how to draw, let's face it. Rory Donald, so go and get on that one. Itto, ITTO, a system error comic written and drawn by Phil Chapman. A tourism robot turned relic awakes in an unrecognizable future London. But it turns out that Itto, the robot, is not alone now on Kickstarter. Thanks to Phil for writing about that one. Psychic Sam, Volume 1 of 3 is a comic and a future movie project from currently also on Kickstarter from Mark Millar and JRJR, John Romita Jr. I backed it, and so should you. It's the team who brought you Kick-Ass and Wolverine, Enemy of the State, and a lot of other things. So, good stuff. Fucking Buck Rogers, our buddies at Green Archer.
You just want to make sure.
I don't want to fuck him. Although Billy the Robot,
not a book called fucking Buck Rogers.
That would be a book to
that's
buy.
What we're going to
Green Archer. If you need me to write that, I'm available.
Yeah.
So, what's the name of the little robot you can have sex with? It's like a sex robot. It goes biddy biddy biddy.
You
that
can't
thing.
have sex with it.
Oh, Twiggy.
His head looks like a penis.
See a doctor.
Okay. So anyway, all seriousness, they have got hold of Buck Rogers, and it's Buck Rogers versus the Cyberlords from Green Archer, bringing back the OGs. Get on it before you can miss out. You don't want to do that. I've backed that one as well. Thanks to everyone who sent us lovely messages about Tribute Press. Really, really kind of you. And the 3 comics in 1 book have gone out, and hopefully people in the States should start getting it soon. But had some lovely messages, seen stuff on social media, people receiving it. Thanks a lot, everyone. The Compleat Angler is from the original text from the 1650s, right? Listen, bear with me on this one, because it is one of the most pleasurable experiences I've had reading something in the recent past. So it's an original book from the 1650s by a guy called Isaac Walton. And believe it or not, it's one of the most popular books ever. And it's been adapted into a fat comic by Gareth Brookes. In the preface, Gareth talks about how this is the most reprinted book in the English language. But it's not something that we know about these days. But it's actually a book on a number of things. How to catch fish, right? Genuinely. And all about the rivers and the creatures that you find there. There's a thing on squirrels and different kinds of fish. And Gareth adapts it with a real sense of poetry. There's a real sense of just a little oasis of calm in my reading day. It's out on Thursday this week. For some reason, Gosh had put it out on the shelves early, so I managed to get a copy on Saturday. He's done it. We know Gareth. Gareth's a friend of ours, and Gareth never makes it easy on himself. And this is he's always got some brilliant way of drawing something. He's an excellent artist, but he sort of stretches himself by drawing it in different ways. And this one does 2 things. Some of it is done using lino cut, which looks gorgeous, and then some of the other stuff, which gives you like this sort of little break, and it's on ink on bamboo paper, so it's almost like minimalistic drawing on this sort of white paper, which is very hard to draw on, I think. I got
a real thing about sort of artistic methods and some unusual stuff like that at the moment. That's really, I mean, there's a technique in my recommend this week that
that's good. And this Gareth really knows what he's talking about. He approaches comics in a really considered way, and he also writes quite a lot academically on comics as well, and he's always on the slack, always with a sort of a little bit of insight. It's out, as I say, it's out on the 19th, which is Thursday if you're listening to this episode in the first week of release. 10% of the proceeds go to River Action, which is a charity that cleans up the rivers. You can get your copy at Gosh. If you want to go along and get your sign, there's on Thursday this week there's a signing in the evening which Gareth's doing, a release party. I can't make it because of from work, but I'm really glad on this. I've got this. I'm gonna put it because it's kind of in a way a documentary comic. It's a lovely little hardback. There's like, for you guys, there's like an example of the 2 styles he's using, the lino cut and the bamboo paper thing, and in a way. I don't know why I'm saying this, but for me it sits next to In Waves on my shelf. Nice. Which was, remember, that was a little bit about a documentary about surfing, and it's got that sort of stylistic thing going on, and it's only 15 quid. Hardback, over 100 pages. So much effort has gone into this, and this is the same price as some stupid floppy in the small press section of Gosh. This is well worth it. Gareth's such a great voice in comics. Go and get this one. That's my last shout out. There you go.
Dan, have you got any?
Yes, I've got a couple. Night Vision issues 1 to 4. Night Vision beats the streets in these 4 black and white comics created and drawn by Rudetoons, full of action, bad guys and boobies. That one's smashed through its target. It's got another 20 days to go, so do go check that one out.
We were talking about Boo earlier, wasn't he? That dude can draw, can't he?
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, he's got the skills.
He's got such a lovely style, lovely line.
Yeah. We've got Spearpoint, a World War II fantasy comic book adventure series. A World War II fantasy adventure comic. A young witch and her friends are now all that stands in the way of an invasion from an ancient underground race of creatures. That one's sailing towards its target. We could do a bit of love. That's from the good people at Scratch Comics. Do go check that out. That looks absolutely fantastic. Really like the look of that. We've got Rasp, book 1. A soulless detective conducts a seemingly simple investigation that turns into an incredible experience, which will change him forever. That is from Martin Simpson, which we were singing the praise of this book last week.
Yeah,
Martin's art style is unique,
idiosyncratic.
Absolutely, you like it's one of those artists you look at that and you think that's Martin Simpson.
Yeah, it's undeniable. Got Open Caskets 1, Wulf and Batsy full color art book, 1999 to 2024.
I must back this.
The first book in a series of supplemental volumes complementing. Can't fucking speak tonight.
It's the heat. It's Friday's circuit.
Yeah, that's smashed its goal. It's got another 20 days to go, so you can go check that one out. Wolf and Batsy, Open Caskets 1.
Nice. So many sort of shout outs and comics to check out and Kickstarters and everything. I mean, we're already spoiling you, but we're going to tell you about some even more books to check out. In the days and weeks and months ahead, or Alien Overlords if you're listening. Perhaps you can just find them in the rubble. Tony, do you want to kick us off?
In the Barney. So my first one is Grixly 6970, given to me by Falp, and the explanation of that will be forthcoming shortly, by Nate McDonough, with covers on 69 by Victor Cairo and on 70 by Lila Maloney, who I think's Nate's partner. The links between Nate and Tribute Press run deep, I'm going to say. So not only is Nate a fellow writer in the pages of American Nature with me, which we've also just talked about with the Santos Sisters guys, he does the inside front cover of Dirty Basement 3, and he also, Falp, did the back cover for Grixly 69. So I guess we should have him on the show quite soon. I'm going to say that. Because he's a really nice guy. You may have seen the collection of the earlier issues of this collected in a book called Long Boxes. Do you remember us mentioning that about 6 months ago? I'm going to say. So the story of this is this: Nate is he's a comics fan, he's a comics creator, but he's also a comics dealer. So what he does, these and other parts of this are all about him going and looking through long boxes. So he travels about in a car or a van and goes to sort of slightly obscure comic shops and collects runs of comics. And he talks about some comics that are just like, oh yeah, I haven't thought about that comic for ages. It's a bit like that. But what he does, I don't know if he's got a great memory or he walks out of a comic shop and writes down everything that just happened. But he really does bring home what it's like to be in some of the slightly more eccentric and obscure comic shops that we sadly don't have enough of in this country anymore. Yeah. I'm like, there's a stupid amount of FOMO for me watching him do this, because that's what I would just love to do in my retirement is, get a minivan and drive around the spots, the weird little spots that are in the back towns. And I mean, America's the country of comic books, isn't it? More so than us anymore.
Yeah, more so than us, yeah.
And there's some right weird. He discovers some really helpful people. Small town England and small town Scotland and Wales and small town America are genuinely full of people who will help you if your car breaks down. I'd like to say that. And he finds these people, and on occasion his car does break down, and they help him, tow it out of the way or help him get to the next town. And he stays in some quite rough bed and breakfasts and motels, and there's some crazy people running around. And then he goes into a comic shop, and we'll talk about finding a run of Pat Broderick's comics or something. And then he talks about going home, and him and his partner box and bag them up, and then they sell them in these little runs. And I get this. It's done in a inky, sketchy but very readable style in a 9-panel grid on an A5 comic in a zine, and he hand letters, and it just fucking, I don't know why, but it just really works. And there's 70 odd of these now, And it's been a bit like Santos Sisters. It's been grabbed by a company who've collected it and stuff. And I get a great pleasure. Occasionally, if I'm working, I'm typing away, or doing whatever. I sometimes like to have a little YouTube video. You can find them quite easily of people going through a long box. Have you ever looked at these? It's like, I bought these 200 comics today, and it's just, I don't want to listen to the dude talking because normally they get it wrong anyway.
Yeah,
I just want to watch the comics being put on the table. Oh, there's a Charlton comic here. I haven't seen this one yet, and it's like this. And it gives me that same feeling. Reading these really brings home the joy it is to be a comic collector, which we don't hear enough people described as. Everyone was a comic collector when I was a kid. We weren't zine collector, zine readers, or there's none of that. We're just comic collectors, and it's a much lost thing. What are you going to say? Sorry, Dan.
That tactile thing of like when comics kayfabe, when they used to get the comic in front of you and flip through it, and it's like very much kind of the physical act of like looking through the comic and have it open in front of you.
When we tried that on Tribute, we did a Patreon for a year just as a sort of experiment. Really, we said let's do it for a year, see how we get on. I did that as little videos. I got like an arm that holds the iPhone, and you just go through. But I go, look, there's a bit of Ditko there. Oh, who's this? Oh, that's definitely early John Byrne. And you just flipping through that. I could watch that shit all day, man. Yeah. Same as reading a comic. Just sit there with it on at work. It's just beautiful. So you can read some of it. A lot of this is you will find on his Instagram as well.
Okay.
You can go to Grixly Cola, Grixlycola. That's on Instagram. Go to his Patreon, which is Grixly, or go and buy something. Grixly Comics with an X, grixlycomics.storeenvy.com, and you can find it. It's it's lovely. Our paths seem to keep crisscrossing, myself and Nate and Falp and that, and it. I genuinely think he's sort of one of us, which is nice. Yeah,
nice. I'm going to jump in for the next one. This is one I use the older Kindle.
Comicsology.
Prime reading experience.
I thought it was. That's where I've seen this before.
Yeah. Of course, I've got Prime. Shame on me, but free delivery. No, but you get the
best place for old movies as well. Prime.
In amongst all the tats, but never mind all that.
Loads of great old war films on there.
Yeah. There is, of course, Prime Reading, the sort of library sort of side of it. Now, it isn't Kindle Unlimited, which is a different thing.
Right.
I think Prime Reading is very much like a library sort of thing. You can get titles and then you have to return them in order to get more titles.
Right.
I immediately sack off all the prose books. I'm just there for the comics because there's lots of the Comixology originals. I've mentioned books that I've got on there before in this section, but there's been a couple of titles that have been they're always there, especially the Comixology originals. They're always near the front and centre. And there was one that was always on sort of my radar that I finally got around to checking out. And because the series is done, I read all 6 issues of it, sort of one and done. I think there's a collected edition as well, but fool that I am, I did it individual issues. I probably could have had just one volume and made it easy for myself. But this is Canary, which I think also came out from Dark Horse. I think
they've got a deal, haven't they, Dark Horse?
Yeah, I think Dark Horse have got the deal for the Comixology originals, haven't they?
I think so. Yeah.
This is written by Scott Snyder, art and colours by Dan Panosian. Letters Richard Starkings, the legendary Richard Starkings. To be honest, he is a bit of a. He's also responsible. Richard Starkings is Elephant Man, isn't he?
Yeah.
Nice, yeah.
I think there's a Kickstarter for Elephant Man at the moment, isn't it?
Is there really?
I'll check that. I'll check that for next week.
Okay.
Yeah. The synopsis of this: in 1891, a mine collapsed into itself. What is the dark substance found 666 feet underground? And that's it. That's all you get in the synopsis, which is nice. In fact, most of the words in this synopsis I can see is just nonsense about the Comixology originals lineup. And I was like, fuck that. I didn't actually read any of that, as always, before the book, because I just want the story to sing for itself.
Yeah.
And the first thing I'll say about this book is Dan Panosian, who just that name by itself, obviously,
it's a seal of quality.
It's you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's absolutely going to look good. I will say, I have only recently, over the past couple of years, become a convert of Dan Panosian. It was one of those, a name that I've become more accustomed to. And recently, usually covers pin-ups. As soon as you see it, it absolutely blows lots of other stuff out of the water.
I think we're doing the Conan stuff.
Yeah,
Conan
he did a Red
covers,
Sonja one that I talked about. This came before that Red Sonja, I think. I want to say it. But this is a straight up historical Western with some horror trappings. When I say historical, very historical. It feels very researched. It is a very wordy book, very wordy indeed. But also, I thoroughly enjoyed it. For me, the first thing, this is a 6-issue series. I want to talk about the pacing of this. What will hook you is Panosian to begin with, because every page is stunning. He does this thing where the backgrounds, which have that, I love it when it's got that almost a spaghetti western sort of, the sky is oranges and warm yellows, mustard yellows and things like that. But whenever he does the sky, you can see he's done that texture on canvas with paint. You can see the texture of the canvas, and he's just using that as a texture. There's no clouds or anything. You can see brush strokes in it, and the line art sits on top of it. Do you know what I mean? And coloured. And for me, I was just hooked. I was like, this is fucking beautiful. He rides a line as well, because he is an artist that uses reference. Like Anthony Mackie is definitely a character in this.
Oh, is he? Okay.
And I kind of want to say, not all the time, but there's certain panels where you think, and I wouldn't say exactly, it's like this artist doing a rendition of that actor. And there's a couple of other, I can't quite place them at the moment, but there's definitely people I'm thinking, John Goodman was one I spotted at one point. There's definitely one shot, and sometimes that, for a brief moment, if it wasn't for the strength of the story and everything, that might take me out. I think a lesser,
not a big fan of it.
A lesser team, I would be completely out of it. And I don't know about you. Have you ever noticed when this happens, when a character has probably been based on a real person, but you don't notice it. Panels are going on. And then there's the panel that's clearly that actor,
heavily
actress, and you're like, oh, they didn't look like that before. That's who they are. They're supposed to be then. Saying that, I have no idea. I have a feeling that the main character, who's like a marshal, that people have, it bases it on you're following this main marshal, and there's this murder that they're investigating. And people are talking about him. I remember when you took down this criminal, and like serials, like back in the day, westerns, like were written about him. It's almost like there's the mythology based around. Oh, you did this, and he's like, it's not as. And he's
a bit like in what's that Clint Eastwood movie about the old cowboys? Unforgiven.
Unforgiven.
Do you remember one of them is a writer of those books? Do you remember the dude who follows them around? Yeah. It's a bit like that, isn't it?
And it's got that sort of like, there's that bombastic thing where it's like, well, people don't know the real story, and you can tell all the way through. There's like with Snyder as well. There's a bubbling supernatural current, like a vein running all the way through it. And that for me, in terms of so Panosian's art just had me sort of hooked, and like, I think the colours are stunning on this book. But it was this is going to sound crazy to say. For me personally, it was almost so historically set and accurate that the words were a little trudgy to get through initially. Do you know what I mean? It was so in that.
You just want to breathe in the landscape.
And I was like, okay, the story's got to move at some point. And when we got like flashbacks and stuff, that's when it really finds its rhythm. But it really kicks off about issue 3. Normally we talk about series, they fall off in issue 3. This one, it begins rolling, and it properly starts rolling. There's some, I'm not going to put any spoilers to anything, but yes, there are definite supernatural undertones. It gets proper big and comic booky towards the ending. I overuse the word, but cinematic in its scope and like what's happening. But for me, it's a beautiful looking book. This just sort of got me, and it is one and done. It's just you can go in. There's a sense. I don't know. I get this. Even though I say cinematic, I almost get a sense that this is a book that quite easily could have been just a pitch. But I mean that in a nice. It still works as a comic.
Okay.
But there is a sense of, oh yeah, someone could take this collective volume and just go to someone and go, there you go. There's what you should make a TV series or a movie, which is probably what a lot of people do. I mean, that's probably what a lot of these Comixology originals, or maybe Image do little things here and there. We see a lot of independent publishers. These
for me, as long as the comic's well made, I've just bigged up a fucking Mark Millar book. Look, Mark Millar's been doing that for years, but it didn't stop us enjoying Big Game.
And that's what it's all about. It's whether the comic works, and this one totally works. I mean, I'd be interested to see what people think. If they maybe got a little caught up in the weeds at the beginning, like I did. It took me a little while to get the rhythm.
You're right, though. It pulls me out when it's a person I know.
Yeah.
It stops the verisimilitude of it. It stops the reality of it being someone speaking who I've invested in as a character, and suddenly he turns his face and it's somebody I know from telly.
Don't like that thought process that goes on when you're reading it, and it's like, who have they used as a model here? And then instantly you're not thinking about the story or the comic anymore.
There was a really terrible Doctor Who meets Star Trek Next Generation from about 15 years ago, and I could tell you because I know both series really well, I could tell you every episode that they'd taken that particular tracing from, and it just it's not worth it for me.
Yeah,
man, I'm quite happy if they did that. Like, don't go for complete character likeness. Just use kind of Picard's a bald dude, Geordie's got a visor.
Yeah, look at the DC comics they did. It's fine.
Yeah. So interesting stuff. But Canary, if it passed you by, definitely give it a whack, especially if you like Western comics.
I love Western comics, man.
Yeah. And Panosian, it's just
Yeah.
just looking at the pages and what he does with colours, like the changing of tones. Like you'll have a yellow is the background, but a character in the foreground is like blues.
Okay.
And then on the next page, it'll be like the sky will be almost blood red, and it's just gorgeous to look at. There's a lot going on. But just I would say probably first issue's a stronger start. I've probably sold it a little short there. First issue's a strong start. Issue 2 and probably halfway through issue 3, it slows down in the mud a little bit of setting up what's going to come next. And then when we're rolling, we're really rolling. I'll be interested to see what people think. But Canary was well worth your time.
Nice. Good stuff.
And I need to check out more Dan Panosian's comic work. And rather than the covers, I need to check out more.
Agreed. Yeah, he's obviously making bank on covers, isn't he? I've seen that sitting there so many times and not ventured into it. I will now.
Yeah.
They've got really strong covers, haven't they?
Yeah, and I'd be interested to see the cover for issue 1 doesn't really work for me. It's like there's like three pistols, and I'm not quite sure.
Oh, that rings a bell. Yeah. No, I remember that.
Yeah. But it feels like the other covers are a bit stronger.
Right.
I'll be interested to see what you think, T. But it's
yeah.
It's not a quick read, but it's a good read.
Cool.
Dan, take over. I might help you out with this one.
Yes, I'm going to give a shout out to the Tribute Press books.
Thank you, mate.
Who are they?
3 comics in one book.
Yeah, I've got to throw into my fucking advert. Yeah.
We've got Daryl 4P, Cliff Cumber, Tony Esmond, and Adam Falp.
Nate Badonna, Cliff Cumber, Tony Esmond, Adam Falp, 4P, and Ed Trucchino.
Yes, Ed Trucchino, of course. Sorry. I'm really struggling with the mental faculties on today's pod. Absolutely struggling. So we've got through 3 comics in one book. We've got Lessons from Life and Comics. Tony Esmond is a Bone of Darkly, which is it's kind of like a square kind of...
It's it's a bit like Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. That's how we're pitching it.
You know those kind of books you pick up on the counter at bookstores like Waterstones, and they've got
or a Rough Trade or something like that.
Yes,
or even Gosh, they have them, don't they? Yeah.
This
I don't think they'll be stopping.
I know
this.
You wrote this, Tony, but this is like torn straight out of your head. Like,
well,
every time I read one of those, like, that's Tony saying that.
So what happened was, me and Falpy road trip it a lot. We go on, even if it's not a convention, we're always seemingly in the car or in a pub or something together. And I spout an awful, as people will not be surprised if they've listened to more than one episode of this, I spout a lot of shit. And Falpy says, why don't you send me one of these a day when you get up in the morning, when you think of it, and I'll put it into a book. So that's what I did every morning when I got up, and he's still at Betty Pies. I'd send him an email with day 53, whatever it is for that. Yeah.
We've got Tony Osmond as a movie star. We've actually had this a little while because this is
you got an early copy, yeah.
Got this is. Did we talk about this at the time when it came out? This is an absolute
not sure
tour de force from you and Cliff.
Cliff's great in it, mate. Cliff,
so good.
Fucking hell. The comics industry has lost a star in not picking him up in the 80s or 90s when they should have done. He would be he'd be a
Massive.
legend. Yeah.
Just the whole book is just the fucking a beast.
The way he treats a lot of panels, there's a big moment towards the end, and he just uses so much white space in it. It's so well done.
Yeah,
just blew me away, man. And I did not give him an easy job, because Mike Yarwood appears in this, and there's about 4 people left in the UK. Remember who Mike Yarwood is, and he had to get a lot of likenesses.
Yeah, there is kind of like a lot of likenesses. The sort of 70s. What would you call them? They're not like micro celebrities. They were big in the UK. But
sort of TV stars, I guess. Yeah. Operation U Tree.
I was sort of musing to the other day, like on Saturday night primetime TV, we'd have like someone with a puppet animal, and that.
Or Mr. Blobby. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
it's
that'd be the big fucking draw. It's like,
yeah.
What? The idea of that nowadays, people would think we find ludicrous, like Spit the dog or something. A little puppet that shoots a spray of water out of his mouth, fucking spitting. But they're sort of like the partially like the villains in
some of them are, yeah.
It's a great book.
When the violence kicks off, it's pretty intense. Like, it's a blessing that it's a small section on the page. But there is almost a medically accurate diagram. 3 stages of a fist crushing a pair of testicles.
I'd love to take credit for that one, but that was Cliff's idea, that one.
That actually, it makes me retreat into myself. It is, those bollocks have been ruined.
We do seem to destroy a lot of nether regions, don't we? Even on, was it page 4, someone's just showing the bum.
Look, Tony,
it's all about tribute.
It's all about nether regions and arses. Either things coming out or going into arses.
This has been in.
Do you need to talk about it, Tony?
I always need to talk about it. But we've been talking. Me and Cliff have talked about this because it's taken a couple of years to do this, and we had a prolonged conversation. It's no secret we crucify someone in this. Obviously just to upset people. And we've had long backwards and forwards about whether that person should have underwear on or not. And I felt that if you're going to be waving around a broken bottle near to someone's knob, it might put the reader off. But Cliff was all for full nudity. So we ended up going with the underpants in the end. It fell on my side of things. But there's a lot of these scenes are long considered. Yeah.
No, but the whole book's... Man,
he's great, man. He is great.
From book 1, it kind of picks up and runs with the ideas set up. Have you got? I'm going to ask the obvious questions. You thought about a third one?
We've talked about something, yeah.
Well, I mean, the epilogue sort of sets up something a bit mental.
Yeah. Plus, we've got the son, haven't we, as well?
Yeah. No.
And have you noticed that one of them's not named? One of the women's not named. She's just known in the script as BTW, big-titted woman. That's.
To be confirmed later on.
Yeah.
Where can people get the tribute stuff?
It's not on sale yet. It will be going on sale soon.
Right.
It'll be we got a big hotel store, but I'll let everyone know when it goes on sale. We just want to get it to people who backed us first, you know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think that's important with these sort of things. Yeah. There's nothing worse than you backing something and then people putting it on the internet who haven't before that.
Yeah.
Or you discovering it on the shelves in a bookshop or a comic shop before that. There's nothing more maddening than that, I think.
Doing Alex de Campi.
Yeah.
That's a few years ago now.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Are we going to be seeing any more of
about that moaned.
Yeah. Are we going to be seeing any more of like Ed Tricino in comics?
He's just done something. He's just done something with Troy. Troy, one of our buddies from the Slack. I think they've just done a story for Zarjaz together.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Ed's work. He does.
Ed's great, man.
In Dirty Basement, it's kind of like an anthology. Would you say that's fair?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And he does Sex Yeti.
Yeah.
Which is,
do you notice he's been my friend for about 25 years, Ed? And do you notice how he spells my name wrong on page 3?
Does he? Oh yeah.
Ed.
I don't know. It is what it is. We were talking more earlier about the last strip. It is the last strip in the book where, like, well, second to last strip. You guys have sort of come together as kind of like. What is the title of that strip?
I can't remember what it's called. It's the Spaceship Tributus.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's it was Falpy's plan. A lot of this is Falpy's idea. You know, Falpy is the governor. He ran the organisation of the stuff, and we decided that he'd had a page written and sort of sketched out, and he says, "I don't know what to do with this. You finish it." You know, sort of throws it at me while we're driving somewhere, and so I decided to make it about killing God, and then we thought, well, why don't we get Cliff in, or as Keith, as we like to call him, Cliff in to do the inks. So Cliff I wrote it, most of it, Adam penciled it, and Cliff inked it. And I was talking about this before we started. When it's a stupid thing to say, but I just felt it's a great example of the three of us, especially the two artists. You can see that way that they sort of gel together, and you can see aspects of them both on the page, which I really like. Yeah.
Knowing both of the artists and both of their work separately,
that's exactly
really interesting when they came together to sort of like work together on this. I can see elements. It has the DNA of both.
Yeah,
the creatives.
And in respect to not talking about myself, but in respect to me, it's got that religious killing God element, which is kind of obviously I've done before, or sort of talked about in that region. But the other one that I really like, and this is sort of elements of how Falpy and I are now comfortable with working with each other, is the story about going to the convention, which is almost wordless. Which is the one that comes after Falpy's work. So Falpy's got a strip in there as well, which is kind of like worked out as it happens in the tribute office. And there's stylized versions of me and Falpy, and me just bothering Falpy all the time. But yeah, that's I think that's about 6 to 8 pages, that one. So that's one of the longest stories in the book, and he did that for us as well as part of the crew, and it's works out really great. But then the one after that is basically me and Falpy came up with this new way of working, where I would make a story up as we stopped for coffee and drove on the road to a comic convention. So we got stuck in the car, long journey, got stuck in the car for about 4 hours together, and ended up like on the back roads of nowhere, and ended up just writing this story. And it all starts with we went to this garage, and it had a machine that made hot dogs. Right, so we thought, right, that's going in. And then he just sort of took off from there, really. And Falpy sketched it, penciled it while we were driving.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? But it's just kind of works. And I'll say, yeah, put a Dalek in it. It's like this. So we just sort of said stupid things as we went along. And
and it's fucking nuts. That one's actually
that's just nuts. Yeah, but you can see that's me. That's meant to be me.
Yeah. There's one panel. I was like, yeah, that's Tony.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've got to say, we get to catch up a bit with our favourite barbarian, Hercules, Atomic Hercules. Man, I could read about Atomic Herc all fucking day, every day. I really like the character.
Yeah, we like him.
The breaking of the fourth wall as well is just.
It's almost like a horror host to us. We needed someone to invite the reader in a bit, you know.
Yeah.
And obviously added blowjobs.
One of my favourite antagonists, obviously Fred the Nonce.
Fred the Nonce reappears. He's back again. Yeah.
He appears in Vanguard as well.
He's got a friend though.
Oh, of course, yeah. He's got a new friend. Yeah, Fred the Nonce's friend.
Fred's Nonce friend. Yeah. So that was like
they become good friends in the process of this, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, they do get quite close.
Yeah.
And lastly, but not least, we've got Electric Chair #3.
Oh, he's killed him. What a cover to that Falpy's done.
Yeah, it's absolutely.
Isn't that great?
Fantastic centre spread as well. Which kind of like riffs on like in a classical art piece. It's great. My favourite one is the story at the end, which I can't really describe what happens, but
it's got that sort of melty thing that Falpy occasionally does. Sort of, it's not melty. It's like the fabric of reality folds in on itself, and
the lead character. The character of the piece sees a woman breastfeeding, and just sort of the world seems to fold in and melt on itself, and it's something like you'd see in a nightmarish version or Technicolor version of fucking Naked Lunch.
Yeah, that's a good shout actually. Yeah, I hadn't seen that till he finished it. He didn't show me any of it.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
he keeps that sort of thing to himself.
That was the
the
first time I saw it. I love this stuff. I've got all the electric chairs.
Yeah, they're good. The last one was sort of slightly small. We've gone back to normal comic size now for our stuff.
Well, isn't it like a tribute thing to just keep changing?
Fuck around with formats. Yeah, that's the idea.
Yeah. Love collectors love you.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Yeah, man, that was great. We will have to
Thank you, mate. You're very kind.
Ask you some questions about how you found the whole process.
So obviously you're fulfilling the Kickstarter, but where can people go? Where will people be able to go?
It'll likely be if you just go to tributepress.co.uk or if you go to neveronnanything.bigcartel.com, you'll find it there, but it won't be there yet. We want to fulfill US and we've got some Japanese and type places. Want to make sure everyone gets a copy.
So if you're listening later in the year, 2025, it's probably on there now.
Good for a summer read for the kids.
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah, if you're a fan of Mike Yarwood.
For the kid. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Most people would not even know that fucking name. But congratulations to everyone involved.
Yeah.
Great job.
Thank you, mate. Cheers.
Yeah. Tony, sign us off.
So my last one is Blackbird by Pierre Morell. First published in Belgium by L'Employé du Mois. Republished in English by Conundrum Press and translated by Helga Dasher. I think Morell lives in France now. In fact, I think he lives in the south of France. And I got suggested this by Tom Stewart from our buddy from up in Scotland. And I had to buy it off eBay. So I'm sorry it's not immediately available, but there's a reason I'm talking about it. It really did ignite a theory in me. And it's about a group of teens, sort of 20-somethings, who are a kind of disparate, argumentative crew of zine makers. I'm going to say, let's use that that term I don't like, but they're comic makers making DIY comics. A little consortium, if you will. It sounds like every other table at Thought Bubble, doesn't it? Let's face it, this really. But in this European dystopian near future, publishing is limited by law to just a few companies, and it's against the law and considered a revolutionary act to make a zine. And this group of skateboarding zine makers are constantly on the run from the law. They know what they're doing is illegal, and it deals with the subject of artistic freedom is what it does basically. There's a lot of zine makers in this country who consider themselves to be revolutionaries. They're not really, compared to these people are. If that makes sense. They're hunted by the police, and what they really do is they treasure the photocopier or the printer. It's almost like something they're desperate to get hold of, and they go on shoplifting sprees on their skateboards to steal toner and photocopy paper so they can make these comics called Blackbird. And they become more and more extreme, or a couple of them become more and more extreme. One of them goes off and he actually gets a genuine publisher, and this genuine publisher kind of, you begin to sense as the comic comes along, it runs along, that he's a bit sympathetic to their cause. But one of the other ones decides he's going to be more extreme, and he does things called inkings, this is where I began to think how, art reflects life, reflects art, reflects life. And he, in the same way that these fucking idiots from Just Stop Oil are going and spray painting the, artistic things, actually, rather than where they should be doing it. He goes around and he finds establishment figures and throws ink on them. This is the great, the inking. It's the great revolutionary tool now. The ink is how we're going to fight back, and he does it. And it really does. Bear in mind, this came out, I'm going to say, about 15 years ago now. It's certainly in Belgium and France. And there's one point where they're underneath this motorway flyover in this bit of dirty earth underneath this flyover, and there's a group of them, and they're swapping comics and swapping publications. And this new sort of good-looking blonde girl comes in and goes, "Oh, this is," I can't remember her name now. "This is Barbara. Hello, Barbara." And then the police arrive, and this Barbara's going, "They're one of them. They're getting away." And it turns out she's like an informant. And they're afraid to talk to people, and they're always on the run and hiding and skateboarding to get away from people. And this started as a series of single issues. It's similar to what we just talked about with Greg and Mark. The artwork reminds me. Do you know who Jessica Abel is? female indie creator from I think it's from Canada or the US.
Yeah.
Reminds me a little bit of that. It's a little bit smaller than American comic book size. It's 115 pages, perfect bound, a lovely last page. I like to think that someday, somewhere, there'll be a sequel to this, but it's just a real twist on what you expect. I just expect it. When I saw it, I thought, because Tom never let out the bag what it was about with me. He just said, I think you might enjoy this. He was right. But when I saw it, I just thought, what's he recommended this? It just looks like a load of slackers again, one of those slacker comics. Of like, oh, I'm making comics, all this sort of thing. It makes me cool. And it's not. It's actually this Orwellian. It's almost Orwellian in the way he does it. People are sort of playing both sides. Some people are spies. Some people are secret police. Who's that looking at us down the end of the road? And all this sort of thing goes on. And really good. I don't know whether you're going to get a copy of it. It's called Blackbird by Pierre Morell. I got mine on eBay, but you could do that as well. There you go. And one other thing I've got to say, quickly off subject, is Wednesday is Vince's birthday. Happy birthday, Vince.
Hey, happy birthday.
Thank you. 22 this year.
22. Yeah.
22 years since my knees were okay, I mean.
Oh, yeah. They're going to get worse on Wednesday, aren't they?
Well, they might get worse in July.
In July, definitely.
Carpet burns. How dare you? I don't know why it was when Dan said carpet burns that I got offended.
That was enough.
Yeah, that was enough.
I ain't going on the carpet, mate.
Is lino
in the
worse?
ginnel.
Yeah, nice little towel.
Is lino worse? It's pretty rough, isn't it?
Cobbles are pretty rough going the ginnel.
That's God.
Yeah.
Fucking
I didn't know what a ginnel was till I went to Newcastle. Apparently it's that bit behind houses in northern England.
Wow.
That sort of little alley thing.
Yeah.
I tell you what, you learn something new with every single episode of the Awesome Comics podcast.
I mean, exactly this part. I said, where shall I see you? And he goes, I'll see you in the ginnel. And I said, where? And he went, in the ginnel. I said, no matter how many times you keep saying to me, I won't understand what you're talking about.
Yeah.
He said that to a lot of people, Tony Esmond has.
Yeah.
But hopefully you lovely people at home have enjoyed this week's episode and everything we've talked about, including the Santos Sisters and beyond. We've got plenty more guests. We've been lining up, we've been planning things for the next few months, so get ready for some new voices, some great conversation topics, and of course loads and loads of comics. If there's anything you want us to talk about or to focus on, or maybe you've got a comic you want us to check out, there's several different ways you can get in touch with us. You can email us awesomecomicspod@gmail.com. Follow us on the socials at awesomecomicspod on Insta. I don't know why I said Insta, probably because I've got it in brackets. On Instagram. The Gram. At the Awesome Pod on X. Dan's so tired he's got no energy to do the X symbol.
I did prompt me.
Yeah.
It's not firing.
I know. It's too hot. We need to sign off. So thank you for listening, everyone. Whether it be on the website, awesomecomics.podbean.com. If you listen on Apple Podcasts, subscribe, give us a like, thumbs up, nice review. Anything really helps the show, and it helps get the show out to further listeners, and therefore they're discovering new creators and they can go back. And please, if you've just listened to the show, there's a whole raft of creators and interviews that we've got on topics. Whether it be a creator or a topic, there's loads of stuff. We talk about process on past episodes as well. So even if you've just joined us, there's loads you can go back. We're not we don't really do weekly news type stuff. Occasionally we're a little bit current events, but the meat of the show should always be about comics you can check out anytime, anywhere. So give us a like on Apple, and same with Spotify, Amazon, Stitcher, Podnose, Podknife. What networks are we on, Tony?
We're on the Pod Network. Where am I? You're in the labyrinth.
You can also get some of our merch on acpgear.redbubble.com.
Yes.
So I am drafting out new designs right now that will be a bit of shameless marketing for us in about a tiny percentage, because most of them will be messages that you can send out to the general public saying that you fucking love comics and comics are fucking amazing, because they are, and you should tell everyone about them.
We get £2 per t-shirt,
and we'll be able to buy a bag of crisps eventually, or potato chips if you don't call them crisps. Where can people find us online, etc.? Tony?
neverhidanything.com, or you can find me on Substack, Tony EZ. And thanks, I've had 5 new followers this week. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it's great.
Nice.
I'm almost at 100.
Nice.
Yeah.
If you do Substack as well, but I'm going to jump in. If you do Substack, we've got an Awesome Comics Podcast Substack. So search for Awesome Comics Podcast on that, because the episodes are on there as well.
We
And
post
Nice bit of
Brookes,
interaction on there as well.
Thank you to everyone that downloads on the Substack and stuff like that as well. So
Yeah, there's really good numbers on there.
we really appreciate
I'd recommend if you're a small press comic creator and you want that extra little market that you haven't been tapping into, go on to Substack and stick something on there.
Yeah. But for God's sake, and this goes for any forum that you're on the internet, for God's sake, have something to say.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And don't just repost a stupid video on there.
Yeah.
Leave that to us.
Yep.
Dan, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Vanguard Comic, and you can read Vanguard at vanguardcomic.com.
Nice. You can find me on social media at Jester Diablo. Join us back here next week for, well, you're going to have to join us back next week to see who we're talking about. Talking about, whatever it is, there's going to be comics. So keep reading lots of comics. We hope you're enjoying the comics that you're reading. And if there's a comic that you think we might like, tell us about it, because we always want more comics to read.
Yeah.
That's about send your comic in.
Yes.
We want to see your comics.
Yeah. And, from Dan, Tony, and myself in the sweltering ballsack of ACP Towers, have a brilliant week. And, until next week, what should they do, guys?
Stay awesome.
Stay awesome.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.